While I cool down here from the park run I just did, welcome to Milford Haven in South Wales. Parkrun's one thing that I have been doing on our trip around Australia and now the UK and Europe, because it's a great community thing to do, especially like us when you're staying for a couple of weeks. You kind of get to see some familiar faces, and yeah, it's just a nice thing to do on a Saturday morning. You can either walk it or run it, and it's, loose timing, I'd say, but yeah, a great event. Yeah, I need to give you guys an update. I last left you in Australia holding a UK English license outside of DVLA. What do they call it in Australia now? We've been gone for so long. Vic Roads. So we're in the market for a used car, in particular an EV. There's no going back to ICE vehicles for the majority of us EV drivers. I was looking for one sort of sub £15,000, which is about $30,000, because it's something that we would buy and use on this trip for a year or two and then sell back into the market, so I didn't want to take the depreciation hit. So we looked at the private market and the dealership or stealership market, and there's plenty going on here in the EV market, obviously both in the new space, and I'm sure you guys are following plenty of other YouTube channels about that. But the used car market is very, very vibrant too. With Nissan having built the Leaf here in the UK until recently, I think, there are a lot of OG Nissan Leafs on the road. They would be up there with the Tesla in terms of pervasiveness here in the UK. Yeah, so anyway, we're looking for a used car for sub £15,000. You're typically looking at pretty old car like a Nissan Leaf, maybe over 10 years old, or a high mileage newer EV. So we were looking at some of the higher mileage ones. Skoda Enyaq from a private seller. He was a limo driver, and that's the reason for the high mileage. So good price here, but yeah, not something that we were going to take. We also looked in the stealership market. There's some big box companies that have a virtual presence, but then you would go into one of these large dealerships and test drive and check out their range there. I had a look at a Polestar 2 there, which was in the running, but yeah, just a bit too cramped for us, especially with the luggage that we've got. And you'll be surprised at what we did pick, because it's probably smaller, but I think it's more versatile than the Polestar 2. The other thing with the Polestar 2 is, again, probably out of our budget range there. They've only been on the market for a few years. We happened upon a family-run dealership that exclusively deals with EVs in Guildford. Oh wow, what a breath of fresh air this experience was. Very knowledgeable husband and wife. Seemed to know what to pick from, I guess, the wholesale used market and bring to their yard. Happy to talk at length about the models. I felt there wasn't any pushy tactics there, so yeah, really appreciated it. And one car that, well, I guess before we get to the car we did pick, we did rule out the Tesla, Model Y, even some Model S's here are actually a steal with like unlimited supercharging. But yeah, I don't know, bit on the nose at the moment. By the way, we did sell our Model Y in Melbourne, and so we used the proceeds from that to buy here in the UK. In fact, somebody did ask on the previous video how we were going to finance this. While I have a while I have a UK passport, I'm not a resident here, not a tax resident, and don't have a credit history here. So that would make it hard to buy with finance or with a lease payment. And so we're going to pay for it outright, which we did, as I said, with the proceeds from the Tesla Model Y. Let me just show you the dock here in Milford Haven. It's a cool part of the world, and beautiful weather we're having here in Wales. You often hear the term a wet Welsh weekend, but sure is piling on the beautiful weather here in July. Yeah, so there was a car in their lot, a Kia Soul EV. My viewers in Australia probably have not seen an EV version of this car. I think it was only sold as a petrol variant. Yeah, so it's one of those cars, very typical from many legacy manufacturers, is to take a petrol car and retrofit it for batteries and an EV, and that's what they did with the Soul. It came out around the same time as the Kia Niro, which was, I think, World Car of the Year in 2019 or something. Yeah, so small car, but good consumption. Is really efficient actually, which is surprising for a what I call fugly, boxy car. And the model they had here had about 32,000 miles on it, so that's about over 50,000 Ks and just shy of 15,000 pounds. But that, it was the first time we'd seen a Soul, and we wanted to do a bit more research, but that was definitely top of the list. Then went home, or what we call home, wherever we're staying, and then did some research and found that the Kia dealership in Portsmouth, in the south of England, had the same model, so a Kia Soul EV 2020 first edition for a good price, £14,300, and the mileage was crazy. It was only 16,000 miles, which for a 4-year-old car is really good, and I can tell you why in a sec, why it was such a low mileage car. So I went down there, typical dealership experience. Actually, the car is currently reserved for somebody else. Let me just check with a colleague. Actually, sorry, no, it's not reserved. So, the usual bait and switch. Oh, you're not here, you don't want to get finance. That typical experience. Anyway, wouldn't negotiate on price, but even though I had a really good experience with the dealership in Guildford, decided that this Kia was the one for us. It's low mileage for a 4-year-old car, which means that when we sell it back into the market in a year or two, I think, because we'll have added a lot more mileage to it with our trip around the UK and Europe, I think we should get a fair price for it. Yeah, so we've already taken the car on a test trip to Europe for a few weeks to meet up with some friends from Australia. So I got onto the Channel Le Shuttle tunnel thing, which is very smooth, not crazy price, £100 each way, and it's only 35 minutes, and it's so quick you just stay in the car. So we did that, and then got used to driving a right-hand drive car on the other side of the road, which I have done before, so kind of used to it. But there's the usual things you forget about, which is, if you're the only person in the car, how do you get the ticket from the ticket machine as you're entering a parking garage? You have to kind of lean over, do the ungainly manoeuvre. Yeah, so we've done that. We've done southern England, here in Wales at the moment, heading across to Ireland shortly. What else can I tell you about our trip so far? So for insurance over here, we had to get special insurance to cover us in Europe. So that was about £1,000, and also roadside assistance, which is about another £200. So those are sort of the main expenses so far. Charging is not cheap here. We're doing mostly public charging. Even slow AC charging can be up to 80 pence a kilowatt hour, which is $1.60. One of the reasons why public charging is expensive here is, I guess, electricity rates are higher. I think typical household rates here are about 25p a kilowatt hour. Some of us, I think I was paying that in cents, so it's kind of double. The other thing is, for public charging, you have to pay VAT on the charge, whereas for household electricity, that is VAT free, and the VAT here in the UK is 20%. So that certainly adds, and actually is a bit of a discrimination against people who can only charge in public spots, which is not that uncommon in the UK here. Many people have need to deal with on-street parking. So yeah, expensive, But luckily the UK government, I think, have just changed the law, put in a new law to remove VAT from EV charging. So that should bring down the price a bit. Probably the best and cheapest network here, especially if you've got a Tesla charging subscription, is Tesla. So I've seen rates down to about 28p in off-peak times. You do have to pay a monthly subscription fee, and actually my Australian subscription fee of $9.99 covers me here in Europe. So that's £5 a month. So that's a pretty good deal. It's a pervasive network, and the majority of the charging locations, Tesla ones in the UK, are open to non-Tesla cars. Yeah, so it's probably time that as we finish up this video and just reveal the car to you. Sorry, it's normally I try and keep my cars a bit cleaner. This one's black, so you know what that means with a black car. But let me spin the camera around here. Let me spin the camera around and show you the car that we have dubbed Keiru. And she's sitting here charging. So this is 7 kilowatt charging here just by the Parkrun. So this is charging. Public charging is very pervasive in the UK. Pretty much every supermarket has charging. Most car parks do, council car parks. So that makes it very convenient. So we've just mostly been using public charging. Hey, one final tidbit about this car. And the reason why it's low mileage is that it was a demonstrator model for the dealership, and they actually registered this car just as COVID hit. So I think it probably sat in their lot for a while doing nothing. So that's one reason why the mileage is so low. And then they seem to loan it out to reviewers who would then review the car. And this exact car, exact rego, was reviewed by Petrolped on the UK's YouTube, and he loved the car. This was obviously back in 2020. So if you actually want to see a review of this car, I'll link the video up above. So that's Keiru. We've had it for a few months now, no issues at all. Great little runabout, and it's small, but we managed to get everything we need into it. All right, so first video here in the UK. I need to get some more out to you guys. But it's good to be out here, and we'll see you out for the next one. Cheers.